an important step forward, and that's creating our border-to-border broadband fund. And what that aims to do is to help our rural providers and cooperatives extend their networks in hard-to-reach areas. We've got a big state, we've got sparse populations in much of the state, in rural areas in particular. But the broadband connectivity challenge, it is so important. It's vital for our quality of life in 2015 and in the years ahead. We've got to make sure every Minnesotan has access to high-speed internet. And the way I look at this, it's really analogous to the effort for rural electrification a century ago. Can you imagine life in 2015 without electricity? I certainly can't. And that's why I think it's so important for the state to continue to take steps to connect all Minnesotans with high-speed internet. It's an essential utility in 2015, and it will be in the years ahead. And so
I'll run for the legislature. So I ran for the legislature, and then everything slowed down. But to that point, Margaret said this, timing is everything. And we've been able to move. There's been some great champions. We're not moving as fast as I'd like. And you're going to hear a lot about dollars, and I would challenge the governor's office. It's not just dollars, it's investment. And that investment comes in deregulation bills and re-regulation bills. It comes in voice over IP. And it really comes in recognizing that our companies are moving very, very quickly. And we at the legislature and all the things that we try to do, we can't always move that fast. And we're going to get in their way. So the best thing we can do is try to find ways that investment can come from private enterprise as well as from our company, our government. I'll give you an example, and Senator Schmidt talked about this. We've got some broadband fund. We passed $10 million last year. We've got some more work to do there. But we also have to provide some regulation for our phone companies that are trying to get out to our furthest reaches. And what we're hearing from them is, hey, we're maintaining all these landlines, and we have customers that are moving to cell phones. Help us so that we can have competitive rules with the cable companies that are coming in. Help us because we'll invest in there quicker if we can maintain our customers in a better way. So that's where I am at. That's many of the things that I've been working on. And I can tell you that the best way we're going to get this done is if we combine telemedicine with education, with the telecom industry, and work with our private providers, because ultimately they're going to bring in those connections. And the other thing that I want to say is we do this, I know we have a lot of speed goals that we'd like to get to, but we've got to look at the communities that are way, way below, and we've got to get to those last miles. They're expensive. We've got to get there first, because the next Harvard dropout could be sitting in Roseville, Minnesota today, ready to start the next act.
Just this week, on the 6th, I believe the FCC is having a meeting where they will finalize rules for the spectrum auction. And this is a really big deal. I don't want to get into spectrum too, because this is a really interesting topic. But essentially, they will be buying spectrum from television providers and reselling them to telecommunications, wireless, and broadband providers. Senator Franken has been very supportive of ensuring that small providers in our state have an option in competing in this, because there are two large conglomerates that can basically, if they really wanted to, kind of bully our smaller providers out of the market. So he's been very supportive of that. Another big issue we have coming up at the end of the month is it's called Connect America Fund, which is basically the modernization of universal service. If you look on your phone bill, you'll actually see a little federal universal service charge. And what that does is help pay for those in rural America to get phone access. That is now transitioned to broadband. So we have about over $80 million in federal funding available to 4 companies. I know we have a representative from at least one, Mr. Schreiner, if he wants to give us a tip as to whether or not he'll be accepting some of that money or not. No? That's a no? Okay, so August 27th, we'll know for sure. If the incumbents do not take that money, it'll go to an auction where the competitors can bid on that. That also ties into another issue Senator Franken's been very passionate on, and also Senator Klobuchar has been pretty vital in this as well, which is fighting for standalone broadband. So as someone who, I'm a millennial, if you can't tell, I'm a little younger, probably the youngest one on stage. I don't know a single person, a single friend or family member that has a landline, not one. So a lot of people, they'll say, I just want broadband. Well, the problem with that is you'll talk to your provider and they'll say, well, no, you got to take this package. That's because universal service funds, the way in which you're reimbursed for the rate of return rural carriers, you need to have a physical landline. So Senator Franken, Senator Klobuchar, and several other senators sent a letter to the FCC in May saying we really need to address this. And it's one thing I hear as I travel around the state talking to our co-ops and whatnot, that it's something that really needs to be addressed. Net neutrality, which sounds off the top like it may not affect you, but it is really important. And what the issue was there is that the FCC had proposed what's called a fast lane, which inherently would create a slow lane. They tried to say there wouldn't be, but there's a fast lane, there's a slow lane. And what that means is that companies with a lot of money could have paid for its paid prioritization. So let's say the New York Times could pay to have their content travel at a faster speed than, let's say, the Duluth News Tribune, the Redwood Falls paper, or maybe even the Star Tribune. And so it would have been stifling. For example, YouTube was created above a pizzeria in San Mateo, California. Google Video existed at this time as well. Google Video was bad, YouTube was good, but because they could compete on the level playing field, YouTube won. Now I will say, heard from several of our smaller providers here in the state that they want to make sure we're very diligent in implementing the rules of net neutrality, and it's something that we are keeping a very, very close eye on. So we're well aware of that, and we appreciate any input coming forward. I think I'll leave